Greetings and welcome. You are now entering the creative domain of Anime Octopus, a space where imagination intersects with narrative depth, and familiar worlds are re-envisioned through bold, speculative storytelling. This channel is dedicated to exploring alternative possibilities within beloved anime universes, challenging canon, and expanding character arcs beyond their original boundaries. Today's discussion centers on an intriguing hypothetical scenario. What if Naruko faced off against Team Aqua and Team Magma? Part 2. In this continuation, we delve deeper into the strategic, philosophical, and emotional dimensions of this confrontation. Expect layered storytelling, analytical interpretation, and a reimagining that respects the essence of the characters while pushing them into uncharted territory. Disclaimer: the content presented on this channel is intended solely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not claim ownership of any anime footage used. All rights, credits, and intellectual property belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without further delay, let us begin. We finally made it. Naruko cheered, her bright eyes sparkling as she and Milla stepped into Rustboro City just as the sun dipped low in the sky. The journey through Petalburg Forest had been longer than expected. They had taken a few wrong turns and wandered deeper than planned, but along the way they had learned so much. They had watched Tiny Wurmple grow and change, and they had helped other trainers with smiles and encouragement. Millis laughed softly. It was an adventure, at least. Just then, her pocket buzzed. She glanced at her device. Naruko, let's head to the Pokemon Center for the night. I need to call my dad. Naruko's cheerful expression froze. Oh no. I forgot to call my mom. 10 minutes later, Naruko stood in front of a video screen, nervously rubbing the back of her head. Dear, you had me worried, Mito said, her voice firm but full of care. Behind her, Naruko's younger sisters giggled as they played with their Pokemon, while Naruko's father rested peacefully on the couch. I'm sorry, Mom, Naruko said, her voice small. Mito sighed, then smiled gently. Just remember to check in next time. We all miss you when you're away. I will, Naruko promised. Meanwhile, Milla stepped into a quiet hallway to take her own call. A small hologram flickered to life above her device. It may take some time, Milla said thoughtfully. Naruko really cares about her Pokemon, especially Diancie. They trust each other deeply. I understand, her father replied. Do your best, and take care. The call ended, and Millis let out a soft sigh before heading back. When she returned, Naruko introduced her warmly. Mom, this is Millis, my travel partner. Millis, this is my mom. It's very nice to meet you, Millis said politely. Mito smiled. Any friend of Naruko's is welcome. I'm glad she is someone kind to travel with. Millis felt her cheeks warm slightly at the kindness. Later, after a long day, the two friends rested in their room at the Pokemon Center. Naruko fell asleep quickly, her Pokemon gathered peacefully around her. Millis, however, stayed awake a little longer, writing quietly in her journal before finally drifting off to sleep. The next morning, sunlight filled the Rustboro Trainer School. All right, class, Roxanne said, smiling as she stood at the front of the room. She was known not only for her knowledge but also for her kindness and patience. A small student raised her hand eagerly. Miss Roxanne, can you tell us about your friend Naruko again? Roxanne blinked in surprise, then smiled. Naruko is a wonderful trainer. She's brave, kind, and always believes in her Pokemon. Does she have red hair? The student asked. Yes. Blue eyes? Yes. Is she right outside the door? Roxanne turned, and there she was. Naruko stood in the doorway, smiling brightly. Before Roxanne could say anything, Naruko rushed forward and gave her a warm hug. It's so good to see you again. Roxanne laughed, a little flustered but happy. It's good to see you too, Naruko. The children giggled with excitement as Millis leaned quietly against the wall, watching with a thoughtful expression. Naruko soon turned to the class, greeting everyone cheerfully. The students gathered around her, fascinated by her stories and her friendly Pokemon. So, Roxanne, Naruko said after a moment, do you know where I can find the gym leader? Roxanne smiled confidently. You're looking at her. Naruko's eyes widened. Really? That's amazing. Would you like a gym battle? Roxanne asked. Naruko grinned. I'd love one, but I'm going to give it my best. As will I, Roxanne replied. Turning to her students, she clapped her hands. Class, today's lesson will be a little different. We're going to watch a gym battle. The children cheered with excitement as they hurried toward the arena, eager to see what would happen next. Naruko and Roxanne followed, both smiling, ready not just for a challenge, but for a joyful reunion filled with learning, friendship, and fun. At Mr. Briney's house. "Ah, my lovely Pico," Mr. Briney said warmly as his wingle fluttered in cheerful circles above his head. The old sailor's eyes sparkled with affection. Though many years had passed since his family last visited, he never felt entirely alone. Pico was always by his side, a loyal and gentle friend. Just then, a shadowy figure stepped into the yard. "That's a fine wingle you have," the stranger said in a rough voice. "I think I'll take her." Before Mr. Briney could react, the stranger grabbed Pico and ran. Mr. Briney stumbled but quickly steadied himself, determination shining through his worry. "Pico. Please come back," he called, hurrying after them as best he could. Meanwhile, at the Rustboro gym. This gym battle is between Naruko Uzumaki of Lily Cove and the gym leader of Rustboro City, Roxanne. The referee announced. Each trainer will use 3 Pokémon. The challenger may switch Pokémon, but the gym leader may not. Are both of you ready? "Yes," Roxanne said calmly. "Bring it on, Databane." Naruko replied with a bright grin. "Naruko," Roxanne said gently, "remember your manners, there are young trainers watching." Naruko scratched the back of her head. "Oops, sorry." "Begin." "Let's go, Saber," Naruko called. A shiny Ralts appeared in a shimmer of light, standing confidently beside her. "Assist me, Anorith," Roxanne replied. The fossil Pokémon appeared, steady and focused. Anorith, the old shrimp Pokémon, Naruko's Pokédex chimed. Revived from a prehistoric fossil, it once lived in warm seas. Naruko nodded. "All right, Saber, Ice Punch." Saber dashed forward swiftly, but Anorith moved just as quickly, gliding aside with surprising agility. Roxanne smiled. "Anorith is very quick on its feet." Naruko grinned. "Then we'll just have to keep up." The 2 Pokémon moved gracefully across the field, dodging and weaving. Sparks of energy and bursts of light marked each carefully timed move, not harsh or harmful, but a display of skill and teamwork. "Saber, let's synchronize," Naruko said. Saber nodded, matching her rhythm. Together, they moved in perfect harmony. With a clever idea, Naruko called out, "Ice Punch the ground." A thin layer of ice spread across the battlefield, making it slippery. "Oh," Roxanne said. Anorith tried to move quickly again, but slid gently across the surface and bumped softly into the wall. "Now, Saber," Naruko said. With a final graceful move, Saber tapped Anorith with a light, glowing punch. Anorith blinked, wobbled slightly, and sat down, clearly tired but unharmed. Anorith is unable to continue. Saber wins this round. The referee announced. Roxanne nodded with respect. "That was a clever strategy, Naruko." "Thanks." Naruko beamed. "Now, Nosepass, assist me." The sturdy compass Pokémon appeared, its red nose pointing steadily forward. "Saber, confusion," Naruko called. But as the move began, Roxanne calmly said, "Sandstorm." A swirling gust of sand gently filled the field, disrupting Saber's focus. "Power Gem," Roxanne added. Shimmering stones of light floated forward, nudging Saber back. Naruko caught her partner gently as he grew tired. "You did amazing, Saber," she said softly, returning him to his Pokéball. "All right, Mimi, your turn." Her Mudkip appeared with a happy bounce. "Mudkip." "Water gun," Naruko called. A stream of water shot forward, sparkling under the gym lights. Roxanne responded with another sandstorm, but this time Naruko encouraged Mimi to give it her all. The water broke through, lightly pushing Nosepass back. "Now Mud Slap," Naruko said. Mimi kicked up a small cloud of mud, playfully obscuring Nosepass's view. Roxanne stayed composed. "Rock Tomb." Rocks rose around Mimi, not harshly, but forming a gentle enclosure. "Thunder Wave." A soft spark of electricity touched Mimi, making her movement slower. Naruko thought carefully. Then her eyes lit up. "Mimi, water gun straight down." Mimi obeyed, and the force lifted her upward like a tiny fountain. "Now Water Pulse." A glowing orb of water expanded into a gentle wave, surrounding Nosepass. The water shimmered and cooled, forming a soft layer of ice around it. When the ice faded, Nosepass sat calmly, clearly tired. Nose pass is unable to continue. Mudkip wins. The referee declared. Roxanne blinked, impressed. That was brilliant, Naruko. Naruko smiled. Thanks. We just worked together. Roxanne nodded. Then it's time for my final Pokemon. Assist me. Pupitar. A strong, shell-covered Pokemon appeared, but instead of battling right away, she bounced excitedly toward Naruko. Oof, Naruko laughed as Pupitar gently bumped into her. I guess she remembers you, Roxanne said with a smile. Naruko patted Pupitar fondly. You've grown so much. Pupitar gave a happy sound, clearly pleased. Roxanne crossed her arms thoughtfully. She's very strong, but more than that, she's full of spirit. Naruko grinned brightly. Then let's have a fun match, together. The crowd of children watching leaned forward eagerly, excited not just for the outcome, but for the teamwork, kindness, and creativity both trainers had shown. And under the bright lights of the Rustboro gym, the battle continued, not as a clash, but as a joyful test of friendship, learning, and heart. The referee tapped her foot gently, looking across the field with a patient smile. Are the battlers ready to start? Yes, they answered together as Pupitar rolled back beside Roxanne. Begin. Mimi, use water gun. Naruko called, her voice bright and encouraging. Pupitar, use rock tomb. Roxanne replied calmly. Pupitar gathered sturdy stones around herself, forming a protective wall that softened the splash of water. Droplets sparkled in the sunlight as they slid off the rocks. Now, use chip away. Roxanne added. Pupitar glowed softly and rolled forward with determination. She nudged Mimi upward into the air, not roughly, but with enough force to send her spinning gently. Mimi, hang in there, Naruko said. Rock tomb again. Roxanne instructed. Small rocks tumbled around Mimi midair, and when she landed, she lay still with little swirls in her eyes, clearly too tired to continue. Mimi is unable to battle. Pupitar wins. Challenger, please send out your next Pokemon. You did great, Mimi, Naruko said kindly, returning her partner. She smiled warmly and held up her cherished ball. Now it's your turn. Let's go, Chris. With a shimmer of light, Chris the Diancie appeared. She stretched happily and floated over to hug Naruko before turning back to the field with a determined expression. It's nice to see you again, Chris, Roxanne said gently. Chris gave a small nod, ready for the challenge. Let the battle begin. Pupitar, rock tomb. Chris, moonblast. A soft pink glow met the falling stones in the center of the field. The two moves canceled each other out in a burst of light, leaving the air sparkling and calm. Both trainers smiled at each other, enjoying the friendly competition. Pupitar, chip away. Chris, moonblast again. This time, Chris's glowing energy gently pushed Pupitar back across the field. Great job. Now, Diamond Storm. Naruko called. Clusters of shining pink diamonds formed around Chris and drifted forward like glittering petals. They tapped against Pupitar, who held her ground bravely. Pupitar, you can do it, use Iron Head. Roxanne encouraged. Pupitar shone with a pale light and moved forward, meeting Chris head on. The two Pokemon touched gently and then drifted apart. Chris, Naruko said, stepping forward. She paused, thinking carefully. Let's try something new. Use Diamond Sword. Chris's eyes lit up. She formed 5 radiant diamonds, arranging them into a beautiful, glowing shape that looked like a shining blade. With graceful precision, she guided it forward. The two Pokemon met once more in the center of the field, then floated back to their sides. For a moment, everything was still. Then Pupitar slowly settled onto the ground, her eyes swirling as she rested. The winner of the match is Diancie. Naruko is the victor. Naruko beamed and gently scooped Chris into her arms, spinning around happily. You were amazing. Chris giggled softly, clearly delighted. Roxanne knelt beside Pupitar, giving her a gentle pat before returning her. Then she walked over to Naruko with a warm smile. That was a wonderful match, Naruko. You've grown so much. I'm happy to award you the stone badge, and a couple of gifts. Naruko tilted her head curiously as she accepted the badge. Really? Thank you. Roxanne nodded. Here is TM39, Rock Tomb. I think your Mudkip might enjoy learning it. And this, she said, picking up a letter she had nearly dropped, is from your older sister, Kushina. She asked me to give it to you. Naruko's eyes brightened as she carefully took the letter. Thank you so much. Will you be joining the junior tournament tomorrow? Roxanne asked. Yes. That's why I came early, Naruko said with a cheerful nod. I wanted to make sure my team is ready. I'll be cheering for you, Roxanne said kindly. After saying their goodbyes, Naruko and her friend Milla stepped outside into the fresh air. That was an incredible battle, Milla said with a smile. Chris's diamond sword was beautiful. Naruko laughed softly. I didn't even know she could do that. She surprised me too. Just then, someone hurried past them, nearly bumping into Naruko. Hey, wait! A scientist called out, stumbling as she tried to catch up. Please, I need your help. Someone has taken important Devon goods and is heading toward Rust Earth Tunnel. Naruko looked at Millis, then at Chris, who gave her a hopeful look. I want to help, Naruko said gently, but my Pokemon need to rest first. We'll stop by the Pokemon Center, and then we'll come help you right away. Chris nodded, understanding, though she gave a small pout before smiling again. With determination and kindness guiding her, Naruko set off toward the Pokemon Center, ready for whatever adventure would come next. About 30 minutes later. Which way did he go? Millis asked herself aloud as she hurried toward the entrance of Rust Earth Tunnel. Just then, an old man with a white beard and a gentle, weary expression slowly made his way forward, leaning heavily on his walking stick. Millis quickly ran to his side and helped him sit safely near the tunnel entrance. Are you all right? What happened? The old man coughed softly. They took Pico. Please help me get Pico back. He pointed shakily toward the tunnel opening. Millis nodded firmly. Don't worry. I'll bring Pico back safely. She stood up with renewed determination and ran into the tunnel, where soft echoes carried voices further inside. I think I finally got away, a voice said in the distance. A wandering troublemaker had just picked up a small package and a tied-up Wingle named Pico, looking relieved. Before he could take another step, a pair of clever vine-like vines gently whisked the items away and returned them safely into the air. Good job, Chespin, Naruko said with a bright smile as she arrived, catching Pico and the package carefully. She looked at the recovered item for a moment, curious but focused. We should return this right away. The troublemaker blinked in surprise. Hey! He quickly called out 2 Pokemon for a friendly battle challenge. Let's go, Puccina and Grimer. A small hyena Pokemon and a playful, slime-like Pokemon appeared, ready for a light training match. All right, Naruko said calmly. Chespin, let's use Rollout. Honedge, Shadow Sneak. Chespin rolled forward in a smooth practice maneuver, and Honedge's shadow glided across the ground in a quick, clever feint that tapped Grimer lightly. It was more like a coordinated training exercise than a real fight. The opponent smiled. Not bad. Try this, Puccina, Fire Fang. Grimer, Sludge Wave. The 2 Pokemon responded with energetic practice moves, but Naruko immediately adjusted. Chespin, stay steady. Honedge, stay sharp. Chespin and Honedge moved with teamwork, slipping past the incoming attacks and demonstrating impressive coordination. The trainer nodded in surprise. All right, you win this round, he said with a shrug, recalling his Pokemon. He quickly retreated deeper into the tunnel, leaving the path ahead clear. Suddenly, the tunnel trembled, not from danger, but from an unstable section of rock that had been loosened over time. Small stones began to fall, and a nearby section blocked the exit. Everyone, stay calm, Naruko said, gathering Pico and her Pokemon close. We'll find another way out. A moment later, a strong voice called out, Hey! You're not stuck, are you? Naruko turned to see a red-haired traveler holding up part of the fallen rocks with impressive strength, making a safe opening. Go now, he said quickly. But the entrance, Naruko began. Before she could finish, she noticed another safe path had already opened beside them. The blockage had shifted just enough to allow everyone through safely. She nodded gratefully. Thank you. Come on, Pico, we're going home. She carefully carried Pico outside, where the sunlight felt warm and welcoming again. Naruko glanced back at the tunnel entrance. You really helped us back there. I won't forget it. The red-haired traveler smiled and relaxed his arms. Just glad everyone's okay. Later at the Pokemon Center. Ow, okay, I get it. I'm sorry, Chris, Naruko said with a sheepish grin as Chris playfully scolded her for rushing into danger without thinking. Mimi dozed peacefully in Naruko's lap, while Saber laughed from nearby, clearly amused. Nurse Joy had already checked that everyone was safe and healthy, offering a gentle reminder to be more careful next time. Naruko sat quietly for a moment, rubbing her head where Chris had been lightly fussing earlier. All right. I'll be more careful. The red-haired traveler had also stopped by briefly and received a warm thank you from everyone before heading off on his own path. Millis sighed nearby. I can't believe Rusturf Tunnel is temporarily closed for repairs. I wanted to explore it properly. Naruko gave her a reassuring smile and a light pat on the back. There are lots of other places full of mystery and wonder. We'll find them together. Millis brightened. Really? Naruko held out her pinky. Promise. Millis hooked her pinky with Naruko's. Promise. They both smiled. We should prepare for tomorrow's tournament, Naruko said cheerfully. And maybe call home to check in too. Millis nodded, already feeling more hopeful. Together, they set off to get ready for their next adventure, leaving behind worries, and looking forward to a future full of friendship, discovery, and new beginnings. The stadium was full of life as spectators filled every seat, their voices blending into a warm wave of excitement. 16 young competitors stood on the field below, each one ready for a friendly showcase of talent in the junior tournament. In the stands, Millis had just settled into her seat when Roxanne arrived, looking slightly irritated but curious nonetheless. Mina followed closely behind, laughing softly as she glanced around at the lively crowd. It really is packed, Mina said with cheerful surprise. I wanted to see how much Naruko has grown. Roxanne crossed her arms, though her eyes remained attentive. Let's just see if she can keep her focus under this kind of pressure. Down on the field, Naruko stood among the other competitors. She carried herself with quiet confidence, her bright eyes scanning the massive stadium. Unlike many around her, she wasn't overwhelmed by the noise. Instead, she seemed to listen to it like music, steady and calming. A referee stepped forward and raised his hand to gather everyone's attention. Then he pointed toward the large electronic board suspended above the arena. We will begin the junior tournament shortly, he announced. Please look up at the screen to see your matchups. The crowd's chatter softened into expectant silence as the board lit up. Names appeared on shining cards, each one shuffling and rearranging in a playful cascade of light. The competitors leaned in, trying to spot who they would be paired with in the first round. Millis leaned forward slightly in her seat. This is always the most exciting part, she murmured. Mina smiled. It feels like destiny choosing for them. On the field, Naruko watched as the glowing cards spun and shifted. When her name finally appeared, she tilted her head slightly, reading it with calm interest rather than surprise or worry. She gave a small, determined nod, as if greeting a new opportunity rather than a challenge. The referee stepped forward again, his voice ringing clearly through the stadium. Let the first round of the junior tournament begin. A fresh wave of cheers rolled through the stands, lifting into the sky like a bright, hopeful song. The competitors moved toward their designated areas, each one preparing in their own way, some stretching, some taking deep breaths, and others exchanging polite bows. Naruko walked forward with steady steps, her focus gentle but unwavering. She wasn't thinking about winning or losing. She was thinking about doing her best, learning something new, and showing respect to everyone she would meet along the way. Above her, the stadium lights shimmered like stars waiting to witness the beginning of something wonderful. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thank you for watching and supporting. See you in the next one. Regards. Anime Octopus.